failed.
Why are you doing this?
You did this to yourself, and now all of you will perish.
Elseworlds has shaken the Arrowverse to its core, leaving us to figure out what happens next. Before that though, the DC nerds at TV Guide and GameSpot have come together to dig up every single Easter egg we could possibly find from the crossover. Did you catch them all? Let's start with Ivo Labs. Arrow fans know Dr. Ivo well from the Season 2 flashbacks. Now, his lab in Central City is under attack, causing the Flash, who's actually Oliver Queen, to spring into action.
You have failed this city.
Pretty sure that's not your line.
The meta-power stealing robot in Ivo Labs might also sound familiar. While Cisco names him AMAZO, that's not the first time Ivo has been associated with that word. It was also the name of his ship that wrecked on Lee and Yu during Season 2 of Arrow. The Legends of Tomorrow may have been sitting out this crossover, but that doesn't mean they didn't help in their own way. When Iris needed to sideline Barry, she knew alcohol wouldn't do the trick. Thankfully, Ray Palmer sent her nanites for some reason, which essentially helped to knock him out. Sending Barry and Oliver to a new Earth is one thing. Setting it to the Smallville theme and dropping them on Kent Farm is something else entirely, and it was amazing. But no, Earth 38 isn't the future version of Smallville as far as we know. That's clearly its own Earth in the same way Earth 90 is the one where the 90s Flash TV show exists. Now, if they could just convince Tom Welling to come back for Crisis on Infinite Earths next year. We knew Superman was in Argo City, the last remnants of Krypton. However, Lois Lane tossed out some other fun nods to Kal-El's home planet, including the Kryptonian High Council and the Jewel Mountains.
Kane Wolfman, you're under arrest for 19 violations of international law.
Really? Does that include the murder of 4 August field agents?
Last chance on the ground now!
In the beginning of Elseworlds Part 2, we see the return of Deathstroke's son, Joe Wilson. This time though, they call him Kane Wolfman, which is a nod to another DC Comics character, Jericho. It's the simplest Easter egg in all of Elseworlds, but also one of the best. When Kate Kane tells Supergirl, the Flash, and the Green Arrow to get comfortable at Wayne Tower, she mentions that the Wi-Fi password is Alfred. This, of course, is a nod to Batman's butler, Alfred Pennyworth. Another fun Batman reference takes us all the way back to the Adam West series from the 1960s. The bust of William Shakespeare in Kate Kane's office is a picture-perfect recreation of the one Bruce Wayne had in his study, which unlocked his entrance to the Batcave. As Oliver and Diggle make their way through the halls of Arkham, a bunch of cells are seen. Among the names on them are the real-life aliases of the Penguin, Poison Ivy, Clayface, and the Riddler. The Riddler even has a riddle scrawled on his door. The last name we see is M. Guggenheim, referencing Arrow executive producer Mark Guggenheim. It turns out, in Elseworlds, he might be criminally insane. With the freaks on the loose at Arkham Asylum, it takes almost no time at all for Psycho Pirate to get his hands on his golden mask and begin creating chaos. While his role in Elseworlds is small, he's set up as a character that's going to be hugely important in next year's crossover. Bane is coming for you, Batman. I mean, Batwoman. The Bane mask in Arkham Asylum looks almost exactly like the one Tom Hardy wears in The Dark Knight Rises, which makes us wonder if that also somehow exists in this multiverse? How much money would you have to give Tom Hardy to shave his head and appear on the CW? Another villain hinted at, though he doesn't appear, is Scarecrow. Barry and Oliver both fall prey to his horrifying fear gas, which has them hallucinating that they're fighting Malcolm Merlyn and Reverse Flash. In reality, they're just beating themselves up and Scarecrow wins. Nora Fries didn't get a ton of screen time, but she made good use of what she had. Between using her husband's freeze gun and attacking Killer Frost, this demented version of Mr. Freeze's one true love is an interesting piece of the Batwoman puzzle. It's a small moment, but Batwoman telling Supergirl that them teaming up would be the world's finest is very exciting.
You know, it's such a shame I have to go, because I feel like we would make a good team. World's finest.
This nod to the world's finest comic books, which see Batman and Superman team up, is something that needs to become a reality in the Arrowverse. Green Arrow and Flash honestly should just play sidekicks to a Batwoman and Supergirl duo. When Barry Allen from the 90s Flash TV show arrived on Earth 1, he mentioned Diggle was missing his ring. This leads us to believe that on Earth 90, Diggle is definitely a Green Lantern. While it may look like Barry and Oliver are trying out for Sons of Anarchy, the CW edition, the Trigger Twins are actually a minor criminal duo that have popped up throughout DC Comics history. Superman's black suit has appeared in the comics a number of times. However, this is the first time that it's actually been worn by the character John Deegan. Still, looking good, evil Superman. There's no Legends of Tomorrow in this crossover, but everyone's favorite Virgin Time Bureau agent Gary still showed up. In the rewritten reality, Gary's a bartender at a seedy pub for villains. The Fortress of Solitudes we see in Elseworlds is clearly inspired by Superman the movie, as is Lois Lane's gown when Superman proposes to her. Given that Superman and Lois are headed back to Argo City, we probably won't see much of this place in the future, but it looks so cool. One fun reveal at the end of the crossover is that Lois and Clark are expecting their first child together. While Superman's definitely had a kid before in the comics, this reminds us quite a bit of the Elseworlds story, Son of Superman. Now we just have to wait to see if they name him John. We don't see Bizarro in the crossover, but one woman in the rewritten reality sure thinks she does. Upon seeing the two Supermen fighting each other, she utters the word Bizarro, which honestly is about the only way you can explain the situation. To slow down time, Supergirl and the Flash decide to speed around the Earth as quickly as they possibly can. If they think this makes sense, it's probably only because they saw it in Superman the movie. That's exactly how Clark Kent reversed time in the first Superman film, and it didn't make any more sense then. After being defeated, Deegan gets a new and severely disfigured face, which looks a lot closer to that of Dr. Destiny, the character he's based on from the comics. And as we see by the end of Elseworlds, he's alive and well heading into Crisis on Infinite Earths next year, at which point we will very likely see him again. How many Easter eggs did you spot in the crossover? Let us know in the comments, and then go ahead and watch Elseworlds a few